Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking a really fascinating, deeply philosophical topic straight out of medical history and academic coursework, homeopathic philosophy. Specifically, we're going to explore the absolute foundation of this entire practice, a concept known as the vital force. Whether you're actively studying medical sciences or you're just kind of curious about different paradigms of health and healing, this explainer is going to give you a crystal clear, structured look at exactly how classical homeopathy views the human body.
Right off the bat, I want you to just stop and think about a really fundamental question. What actually makes a living person alive? Is it just a heart pumping blood? Is it merely a bunch of chemical reactions happening in our cells? Or is there some kind of underlying organizing principle? A living response that balances our energy, our adaptations, and our healing. Hooking into this profound puzzle is exactly where we need to start today, because this question is literally at the heart of our entire explainer.
So here is our roadmap for today. We're going to define the vital force, explore the historical clash between materialism and vitalism, see how modern science actually approaches these concepts, break down health and disease, and finally, look at how all of this plays out in real-world clinical practice.
Okay, let's dive right into this and figure out what this core concept actually means. Section 1. Defining the vital force, or the animating principle of life.
Now, in homeopathic philosophy, the precise terminology really matters. The vital force, which is sometimes called the dynamis, or the organizing principle, is defined as the dynamic, non-material principle that animates the living organism. It coordinates all of its self-regulating functions. But notice what it's not. It is absolutely not a physical anatomical organ. You definitely cannot see it on an X-ray or an MRI. It's an immaterial concept used to explain how the entire person maintains functional balance.
You see, the vital force isn't just isolated in the brain or the heart. Think of it like a giant, seamless puzzle. It operates as a whole person, integrated dynamic network. It seamlessly unites our physical organs and biochemical pathways with our mental and emotional states. It is the living organization of the integrated whole.
To really wrap our heads around this, we can break the concept down into 4 core layers. First up is its dynamic nature. So it's about movement, adaptation, and responsiveness to stress, not just static physical structures. Second is whole person integration, acting across the mind and body simultaneously. Third is its regulatory function, continuously working in the background to maintain internal harmony and restore order. And fourth, and this one is absolutely crucial for practitioners, expressive indication. Because the vital force is invisible, its internal condition can only be seen through outward signs, symptoms, and functional changes.
Let's step back in time for a second to understand where this all came from. Section 2, Materialism versus Vitalism. Basically, a tale of two medical philosophies.
Time travel with me to the 18th century. Back then, medicine really struggled to explain what separated a living body from non-living matter. Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, the founder of homeopathy, reacted super strongly against the medical practices of his day, things like excessive bloodletting, toxic mercury dosing, aggressive purging. He felt that treating human beings like simple mechanical machines completely overlooked their innate living, self-regulating power.
And this sparked a massive philosophical debate. On one side, you've got materialism. This focuses heavily on physical matter, localized lesions, and mechanical causation. It's the absolute bedrock of modern anatomy, surgery, and emergency care, right? Its biggest strength is objective measurement. But on the other side, you have vitalism. This focuses on the living principle organizing the whole body, explaining disease through an internal disturbance of our life forces. Its strength is its deep attention to the patient's lived experience, their resilience, and their whole person adaptation. Hahnemann leaned heavily into vitalism because he wanted to treat the whole living patient, not just a broken part.
Fast forward to the 21st century. How do we talk about this today? That brings us to Section 3, Modern Science and Homeopathy, Analogies, Not Proofs.
When we study this academically today, setting boundaries is incredibly important. There's a massive difference between responsible academic usage and risky overclaiming. It is perfectly accurate to say something like, systems biology provides useful theoretical analogies, or vital force is a core concept in homeopathic philosophy. But we really have to avoid risky statements like, vital force is a proven electromagnetic field. And honestly, I always find it a bit funny how often the word quantum gets thrown around to explain literally everything these days. Saying quantum physics proves homeopathy is a massive overclaim. Academically speaking, the vital force is a philosophical lens, not a measured physical field.
So instead of false proofs, modern science gives us some pretty brilliant analogies. Take concepts like homeostasis, the body's physiological feedback loops that maintain stability, or systems biology, which studies organisms as complex, interactive networks rather than isolated parts. There's also psychoneuroimmunology, which looks at the interactions between the mind, the nervous system, and immune function. These modern academic concepts serve as fantastic conceptual bridges. They really help us understand whole body regulation without overstepping the science.
Now that we've got the definitions and the history down, how does this philosophy actually define being sick versus being well? Let's check out Section 4, Health, Disease, and Cure, Reading the Dynamic Picture. In Homeopathy's foundational text, The Organon of Medicine, Hahnemann gives us this really beautiful quote in Aphorism 9. He says, "Health is a state where the dynamic vital force rules with unlimited power, maintaining all parts of the organism in harmonious order." You see, true health isn't just the absence of a named disease. It's about having the functional harmony and the freedom to actually fulfill the higher purposes of our existence. On the flip side, disease is viewed quite uniquely here. Disease is seen as a dynamic mistunement of the vital force. In this framework, disease isn't just an isolated physical lesion. Actually, the physical lesion, or that abnormal lab result, is considered the outcome or the end result of the disease. The disease itself is that primary, invisible disturbance of the living organization.
So the crucial point is really understanding the difference between genuine cure and mere suppression. A dynamic cure resolves systematically from the inside out. Your overall well-being, your energy, your sleep, your mood improves first, which leads to a stable, long-term restoration of balance. Clinical suppression, on the other hand, is basically just the superficial blocking of surface symptoms. Sure, the surface symptoms might vanish, but deeper internal disturbances can develop later on, requiring ongoing suppression and potentially leading to a real decline in your overall vitality.
Which brings us right into the real-world application. Section 5, the vital force in practice. How does a practitioner actually observe something that's totally invisible? Well, practitioners infer the condition of the vital force by meticulously tracking specific observable signs. They look at your general energy and stamina. They check your thermoregulation, like are you suddenly super sensitive to cold drafts. They analyze sleep quality and dreams, any shifts in appetite and thirst, and changes in mind and emotion, like maybe sudden irritability or anxiety. And a really important one, modalities. These are specific factors that make a symptom better or worse, like a headache that only improves if you apply firm pressure to it. Let's bring this to life with a quick case study. Imagine a 34-year-old software engineer suffering from chronic tension headaches. Step 1 is identifying the static data. She has a neurologist diagnosis, completely normal MRI scans, and a history of painkillers that only offer temporary relief. But step 2 is where the homeopathic philosophy kicks in, identifying the dynamic data. The practitioner discovers she wakes up totally unrefreshed at 3 a.m., worrying about work. She feels constantly chilly, she's become unusually irritable, and her headaches are strictly aggravated by cold drafts. You see, two people with the exact same static headache diagnoses can have a completely different dynamic expression of their vital force.
And this brilliantly illustrates what the academic sources call the dual-track clinical approach. Homeopathic philosophy does not just ignore conventional medicine. A responsible practitioner absolutely must assess static pathology to ensure patient safety, checking for red flags that require urgent medical referral. But they do this while simultaneously building that dynamic, individualized picture to select a homeopathic remedy. Safety and philosophy have to walk hand in hand.
All right, as we wrap up this explainer, let's bring it all together. Summary: why this matters.
The vital force is an organizing concept that totally shifts how we view the human body. It moves the focus far away from viewing ourselves as just biological machines with isolated, broken parts. Instead, it encourages us to observe our overall vitality, our functional harmony, and our totally unique living response to stress and disease. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to reflect on regarding your own health journey. When you look at health, are you just treating the symptom or are you treating the whole system? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.